If you've never watched The Amazing World of Gumball, know that your life is just a grain of sand and you're wasting time not watching it. But did you know that this cartoon can be very bizarre to the point of having several scenes censored in various parts of the world? Hair bun. One of the most censored scenes from Gumball on television was the song It's Love, where Gumball and Darwin are taking care of a hair bun named Chris Morris, or rather, what they believe is Chris Morris. In the clip of this song, a lot of very Gumball things happen, like taking a bath with the hair bun, eating the hair while saying, "I need to taste it," and going to bed hugging the hair. All of this was censored for being too strange and gross, but we'll show you a part of it. Basically, the whole scene was cut up by Cartoon Network, and the original version is only available for streaming. It's true that Gumball has never been an educational show, and because of this, it has become a source of very funny memes. Get ready to have fun, grab your popcorn bucket, hopefully it doesn't have hair in it, and settle down on the couch to watch the censored scenes from Gumball. Here comes another Cinewave. Butts everywhere. In the episode The Butterfly Effect, the entire beginning of the episode is censored by Cartoon Network because it starts in a biology class where Darwin tries to figure out what's in the microscope. In the scene, what he was seeing was Banana Joe's butt. Anyone who watches Gumball knows that Banana Joe has this habit of peeling off his skin and ends up being very inconvenient. And when Darwin discovers what he was really looking at, he starts seeing butts everywhere.
Nature is ruined! Love is ruined! Art is ruined!
A curious fact is that Banana Joe's mother can predict the future. Perhaps Banana Joe's power is to make people see butts. It's interesting because this scene was censored at first, but in the series The Darwin Yearbook, it was finally aired uncensored. What could have changed?
I don't know.
The mirror. In the episode The Mirror from the 3rd season, some scenes were censored in various parts of the world. But in Turkey, it was completely banned, and people couldn't watch it there. In this episode, Gumball receives a cursed spam threatening him to share the email with others. If he doesn't, a demonic entity who just happens to be Carrie's father will come after him to take everything he has, his money, his friends, and even his family. The episode tries to make fun of the silly spams people receive in their emails, and Gumball doesn't mind deleting the message, which would be the normal thing to do, but that's when bad things start happening to him. Throughout the episode, Gumball begins to lose money. After that, much worse things happen, like his girlfriend getting mad at him, his friends abandoning him, and even the evil entity appearing to take Gumball away. Turkey banned the episode for being too dark for the audience and involving themes like curses, family loss, and ghosts. Fertile imagination. The next scene doesn't show anything too outrageous, but it was still censored for requiring too much from our imagination. Still in the 3rd season, in the episode The Triangle, Darwin is nervous about having to give a musical presentation in an important parade in front of a crowd. To solve the problem, Leslie advises him to imagine people without clothes. The idea was to help Darwin feel relieved, but Darwin's imagination is too fertile, and he can't stop thinking that way. The censored scene happens when Steve drops some things on the floor, and when he goes to pick them up, Darwin is right behind him. This scene was censored in some parts of Latin America for being too traumatic. Poor Darwin. Would you have cut a scene like this? Then comment here with the hashtag Darwin. Scars. In the 4th season, Gumball and Anais go to seek help from Miss Simeon because a bully is after the girl. The teacher decides it's a good idea to show her scars, and this scene was censored in Latin America. In the original version, some of the scars are on her head or knee, but one is on a very intimate part of the teacher. In the original, she ends up showing Gumball where this scar is located, but in Latin American countries, this part of the scene was censored.
On the day of Columbus's arrival, I fell over on a wet floor.
Vomit. In the episode The Loophole, Gumball needs to control himself from saying bad things to people, but this causes him to accumulate a lot of poison inside. Gumball holds on, and his friends feel sorry for him, telling him he needs to go back to being the bad person he always was, but he endures until the end. At the end of the episode, he can't hold all this poison any longer and ends up vomiting all over Tobias in such a disgusting way that it melts the poor guy's face, leaving a huge hole in the middle of it. This scene is censored in some parts of the world because besides being very gross and reminiscent of a heavy scene from the horror movie The Exorcist, it also seems like Gumball has taken Tobias's life. Fortunately, in Gumball, everything gets resolved with a wave of magic. The Butt Song. In the episode The Slap from the 4th season, there's a song that all of Eastern Europe found quite offensive.
Just a tiny bump, a casual little hey there.
Sure, Gumball goes overboard, but in the song The Slap, he gives a whole presentation about how he would like a pat on the backside. Basically, Gumball discovers that Tobias has a different way of greeting people, and it involves giving a pat on the butt. But Tobias refuses to do this with Gumball, which makes him sad and insecure. This episode was completely banned in Russia and throughout Eastern Europe, but to be honest, this episode is indeed very strange. Cheese Sweat. In the episode The Menu from the 5th season, Richard really wants to win a secret hamburger. He wants it so badly that he goes as far as to rip off and eat the fingers of the restaurant's mascot. The manager explains that if he wants to try this special hamburger, he'll need to eat a meal at every restaurant in town. This episode has many references to unhealthy eating and obesity, and at one point, Richard starts sweating melted cheese, which is quite disgusting to watch. Because of this, Cartoon Network decided to censor the cheese sweat in the UK. The censorship only applied to this scene, which was cut, but the episode divides opinions because right at the beginning, when Richard fries the mascot's fingers and eats them, there's no prohibition. Evil squirrels. In the episode The Picnic, Gumball and Darwin find themselves in a very dangerous place called the Forest of Destruction. The place is so sinister that it's shaped like a skull, but the boys think it's safe. They're very mistaken. When they pass by 2 squirrels, these cute little creatures say in their own language that they're going to tear them apart. The scene isn't gross or weird like the other scenes in our video, but many places found it too bizarre to air. The Tangerine. In the episode The Shell, Gumball accidentally falls into Banana Joe's house, and in his attempt to get out, he starts opening all the doors. Behind one of the doors, Banana Joe is watching a video of a tangerine being peeled. This was enough for the scene to be banned in some European countries. This is a terrible idea and teaches us that we should always knock before entering. It's worth mentioning that the context of the episode is about Penny coming out of the shell she uses to hide her true form. If you don't want to be peeled, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to receive notifications. The Balloon Friend. In the episode The Storm, Gumball feels sad for having mentioned Alan's relationship with Carmen and volunteers to help Alan after the breakup. The whole situation is very funny because Alan is a green balloon who is sad about losing his girlfriend, who is a cactus. I don't know what you think about this, but maybe a balloon shouldn't date a cactus because that could end in a serious accident. Don't you agree? Alan is so upset about breaking up with Carmen that he loses all his air and deflates. The only way to save Alan is if Gumball inflates him again with his mouth, but the scene has a double meaning, which is why it was censored.
I don't think I have the strength to inflate. Thanks, Gumball.
Whatever, man.
Not to mention that you can see that Gumball was traumatized when he came out of the bathroom. The Car. In the episode The Car, Gumball and Darwin are washing the Robinsons' car, but due to an unfortunate accident, they destroy the car, which catches fire. When Mr. Robinson finds out what happened, he goes completely crazy with rage and calls the police. They get so mad that they attack the sheriff. The scene censored by Cartoon Network happens when the police officer uses a stun gun on Mr. and Mrs. Robinson, who are on the ground. For several years, Cartoon Network thought the original scene of the couple being electrocuted was too heavy to show. The Signal. In the episode The Signal, Darwin decides he's going to start working out and asks Gumball for help. That may not have been a good idea, Darwin. During one exercise, Darwin puts on way too much weight for someone in his condition to lift, and the strain of holding the weights up makes the poor guy's face almost explode. What Darwin did is very dangerous and can cause serious injury. The scene was censored not only because it had animation that could scare the audience, but also because Cartoon Network didn't want to encourage that kind of behavior. Signing a document. In the episode The Apprentice, one of the most nonsensical scenes in the amazing world of Gumball occurs when he is entering a building with Penny's dad. In this episode, Gumball wants to prove to Mr. Fitzgerald that he is the right guy to date Penny. The censored scene is when Gumball tries to prove his flexibility to Mr. Patrick by signing a paper with his butt instead of his hands. The censored version looks like this, but the original is like this. The Amazing World of Gumball is definitely a show that needs supervision. What do you think about these censored scenes? Do you agree that they are traumatic? We've selected 2 more videos for you to watch next, and we'll see you in the next video.